Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know.
Hola, bon dia, alegria, or should I say buongiorno, having got used to saying that over the last week. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, the live stream, the podcast, and of course, the Portugal Club quiz, where we will pop at 8:15. We're getting back into those Portugal culture questions and quizzes on a daily basis. It is great to be back. This is what it was like when I returned yesterday. Had a fabulous time, I have to say, in Italy for the last week, and I think I've been shouting and gesticulating so much. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, which I hope isn't too much of a bother. Oh my goodness, Italy was great. It's fantastic to be back here in Lisboa. Yeah, Italy must be plan B, right? Had a lovely time heading into the metro and going across town, but we're back in Portugal. Yeah, I think Italy, safe to say, plan B. And this morning, I'll be looking at all sorts of wonderful experiences that I had over there. Look, yes, detained by the, well, not detained, but an encounter with the Italian police. That was an interesting experience. All sorts of lovely experiences, as you can see. Look, there's Raphael, not your average globetrotter as well. What's become known as spaghetti bolognese, polenta, as I'd never had it before. A rubinho, I think that is, not to be confused with a rubio, but a rubinho, I think that dessert was called. A little Colosseum. Got to say, it looked quite old and needed a little bit, a lick of paint. Shakespeare, a little bit of an Italian quiz as well. Lots of ice cream and cakes and making new friends. Not Zé Pavino, a different bronze fella that I was sat next to. Oh, I've got a bit of a moral maze to report with Ryanair as well. Maybe you can help me in how I address that. But a few images to take a little look at the odious comparison of comparing some of the things like food and wine, culture more generally in Portugal versus Italy, or Italy versus Portugal, having been over there. How are you? How have you been this week? It really is great to be back, I have to say. And yeah, talking of quizzes, I'll see you maybe tonight at Baia Cultural in San Martino de Porto. Yeah, I don't know if my voice is going to, I need to arrest it today. I'm going to Tai Chi. No, I'm not. I'm going to Qigong. With Jeremy, some quantum qigong after the show this morning, and the quiz tonight at Baia Cultural. I think we might have one table available. It's nice to come back to doing the quiz, which went very well a couple of weeks ago, and we're back again tonight with it's all about the quiz, all about learning more about the culture here in Portugal. Good morning to you, Jackie. I think this was quite a long time ago. I don't think it's going to be 60 minutes this morning, quite frankly. Bon dia, Campers. Good morning to you, Jackie and Matty as well. This was last week's, was it not? Bom dia, alegria a todos e feliz segunda-feira. The question is, will this go live today, tomorrow, or terça-feira? Time will tell. Well, it's going live this morning. We are back, have arrived back in Portugal with the Good Morning Portugal show, and it's lovely to ease our way gently back into things. Who doesn't like to ease their way gently in? First thing in the morning. So, yeah, let's have a look at a few of those photos then. We've got that Ryanair moral maze, and we had the most amazing flight back. What? It's interesting to me whether to take the choice of flying at night so that you can maximize your days wherever you're going, or to fly during the day and get the most wonderful view out of the window. I prefer the latter, quite frankly. I absolutely love air travel. It has its challenges, of course, and I think it's going to get even more challenging in the months and years ahead. I don't know why I'm giggling about that, but it will be, I think, becoming more expensive, will it not? I can't see how it wouldn't. But anyway, I hope it doesn't. And there are certain parts of it that are a little bit of a drag, but it was plain sailing, if I may mix my metaphors, flying from Lisbon airport to Bologna airport and coming back. No big problems at Lisbon airport yesterday. Just walked through in less than a minute. Through having collected my bag. Don't usually check a bag in. That's one of the things I avoid. But I needed to take a bigger bag with me, as well as my hand luggage that I could take on the plane. And that was all really quick and great. Ryanair did a fantastic job. And I actually owe them a little bit of money, which we'll talk about in just a moment. You know how they try and get every little last ounce of money out of you when you're booking? I've kind of stung them. I realised to my embarrassment that I actually owe them €9.25, and I want you to help me get to grips with that. How I should approach that moral maze? Do I just put it down to experience, or do I track them down and try and pay them? Maybe I should put that on their X feed. I think a lot of people would just think, "Yeah, I got the better of Ryanair. They're always trying to get the better of me. I got the better of them." But I owe them some money, and I want to pay them. Anyway, we'll go into that moral maze in just a moment. Let's have a look at a few of the photos then. Yeah, sorry, just to conclude on flying from Lisbon to Bologna. No big deal coming back in, and that's probably because it was an intercontinental flight. Within the continent. I don't know if I'm putting that in the right way, but flying, from one part of Schengen to another is probably less challenging on the border control. I went through little gates and stuff, but I didn't actually do any scanning of any kind. As far as I'm aware, they may have been scanning me in a way that I didn't recognize, but there was no looking into the eyes of a border official. The customs, the finances looked pretty busy. They kind of opened their doors and were eyeing people up as people went through. But I was out there, you probably know Lisbon arrivals. It's really nice to come out to a sea of people waiting for other people and feel like a little bit of a celeb, just straight out, and it was great. I think I landed at Terminal 2 to answer your question. Yeah, because I got bussed over. There was some bussing going on for sure, but all really quick, all really good. It looks like I made a good decision to buy summer airfares a few weeks ago. Absolutely. And yesterday I passed a Galp gas station in Fundal in my Tesla. You get that moment of superiority, I suspect, on a number of occasions now, Matty, and was very surprised that each kind of fuel was priced at over €2 per litre. How much higher will it go? Well, the government is intervening with some sort of tax relief. That is, of course, the money that you would ordinarily pay. It's not a free gift. It's the money that you would ordinarily pay extortionately, I say, on fuel, the tax on fuel, and they're reducing that. It's a tax fuel reduction. It's not a favour, really, is it? Let's face it. Although Portugal is being held up, I was listening to British radio this morning, and Portugal is being held up as an avatar, as an exemplar of how this might be managed, the rising cost of fuel. So there you go. It's drugs policy and it's tax on fuel relief that's about to happen. Bon dia, Carly. How is everyone? Hope Italy has treated you well. Absolutely has, as you're about to find out. And you may a gastration. Not a gas station, but a gastration. It is gastration. Did you just come up with that? Many people facing a gastration as they go and fill up. Lots of great, let's be honest, lots of great memery coming out as a result. The gallows humor of the discombobulated times here. I've come up with a new, it's not really a catchphrase, but perhaps a strapline for what we're doing here. And I know some of you take the view of hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. How about living the dream and managing the nightmare? I think that's fair enough, isn't it? Right now, and let's live the dream. We've come here to have a great time, and let's manage the nightmare. Those two things, I don't think you can go far wrong if you attempt and aspire to live the dream and at the same time manage the nightmare. And my club quiz, Portugal club quiz this morning, points in the direction of the jockeying for position of the global currency, the reserve currency of the world, and an interesting bit of history around that. But we'll come to that at 8:15 this morning. Let's have a look at a bit of a slideshow, and we'll see how we get on. My voice is definitely. I've been in subjected to all sorts of, I think, germs and things, and I've got a little bit of. My body is dealing admirably with something or other, but I hope it's not too off-putting for you. So let's have a look at my my album here, and of course, arrive. I do like the coach fare coming into Lisbon. That's the view out of the window, isn't it? I love that. And that welcome at Sete Rios station. Bem-vindo, welcome to Lisboa, the 25 de Abril Bridge and the Cristo Rei as well, and people getting up to get down, getting standing up to get down and off the coach, which cost me the princely sum of €5.95. Can walk. I live in such a way and in such a place that I can walk to the end of the street and get on the coach to Lisboa. And I got on the coach, I think at 7:30, and I was there by 9 or thereabouts. And something I love to do now is go and have breakfast in the zoological gardens, the Jardim Zoológico. And you don't have to pay to get into the zoo. You don't. I'm not talking about going in and seeing all the animals. I'm talking about entering into the peripheral area, where I discovered the Copenhagen Coffee Company. Forgive me, I often go to Mackie D's in the zoo gardens, but it wasn't open. I was saved from the Mackie D fate, and I went, I think, had a coffee somewhere else, and then I discovered on the way out that there is this fabulous place called the Copenhagen Coffee Company. I'm on the way to Italy, and I'm getting a taste of Denmark as well on the way there. This is a very fine, as you can see, there's smoked salmon and avocado sandwich that I had as I was hanging out in the zoological gardens. A great place to see Lisbon come to life and hear it, the planes going overhead, the traffic on the highway next door, and the relative peace of the zoo. And you're in a conservatory, and look through the conservatory window. You'll have this is a little cafe where you could say to the guy behind the bar, really nice bloke actually, chatted because I came back via there yesterday, and you could say, "Make it snappy. Can you make me a sandwich and make it snappy?" These guys, these are crocodiles, I believe. They've got the more rounded snouts than the alligators, and you can make all manner of crocodile jokes. See you later, alligator, as you walk out in a while, crocodile, etc., etc. But you're sat there in the Copenhagen Coffee Company, which has got some really good food, great coffee, a slightly different twist on coffee to your normal Portuguese coffee. I had a an espresso tonico yesterday. It was horrible, but I thought I needed to try it. It's a real shot in the arm. My goodness, if you want to turbocharge the effects of an espresso, drop it into a tonic, some ice. It's an iced coffee, and the tonic seems to drive it very quickly into your circulation. It put a spring in my step, I can tell you. I don't think it's something I would drink for pleasure. Having said that, as I left, actually, when I was asking him about it, he said, "If you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it. I'll make you something else." I thought that's really cool. And as I was leaving, he said, "What did you think?" And I said, "Well, I can tell my grandchildren I've had one. It wasn't that nice." To me, anyway. It was an interesting experience, but it's not something I'll be ordering on a regular basis. But there you go. If you go to Sete Rios and get off the metro at the Jardim Zoológico, which is synonymous or syngeo placed, syngeographical with Sete Rios coach station. I think there isn't a Sete Rios metro station. There is a Sete Rios bus station. And the Jardim Zoológico is the metro station for it. Jump off there if you're coming into Lisbon and have coffee with crocodiles, courtesy of Lisbon Zoo. Fantastic. These are a bit jumbled up. Now, I think there's something's going to happen here. I know there are gumpers and people in the expat immigrant foreigner community here who do like the idea of going to Italy for sure, and especially Bologna. And people were saying to me, "Oh, make sure you get me lots of links and photos and ideas because I'm going there soon." Very glad to do that. My daughter lives there, and I was going over to her graduation. So congratulations, Gloria, on a fantastic graduation event. It was quite something to go to a graduation that was in Italian as well, to see Italian academia at work. A really lovely day, a lovely afternoon. It was fantastic. And part of my tourism experience there, I walked past this, I think it's called a finestrella, like little window in Bologna. She says, "Open the window," and when you open the window, that is it's not a little trompe l'oeil. That is the little canal beneath you, or waterway. It's not really a canal. There's no traffic on it, but there is a waterway. Many waterways, I think, under Bologna, where of course they must have emptied all their sewage out of the windows back in the day in medieval times. What a fantastic medieval city it is, and this is the heart of it, and that is the top tourist thing to do. So you go to Pisa and you can push the Tower of Pisa up, and you can go to Rome and do whatever people do, be photographed with Romulus and Remus or whatever. And in Verona, where I went and met up with Raphael, you can be photographed with Shakespeare, of course, because of the setting of Romeo and Juliet at Verona. But this is the thing to do in Bologna. And I think, yeah, I'm very happy to help anyone who wants to go to Bologna. And maybe Barak will be organizing trips there. Maybe we'll have a Gumper trip collectively to Bologna at some point. But that's the thing to do for sure. Have your photo taken by the little window. There's a little queue, and there's a fantastic restaurant near it. Now, on one of the days, there was a police gathering in the square, and I'll show you a video of this square. But on this day, there were cops everywhere. It was a really good time to do a robbery on the other side of town, quite frankly. There were cops of every description here, and they must have heard about me being in in Italy, and they banged me to rights for this, of course, snapping the spaghetti and other crimes against Italian cuisine. And it's easy to do, isn't it? I mean, when you eat bolognese or other types of Italian food, you realize how awful some of the like mortadella is a crime against Italian food in England. Some of those tomato sauces. It's this this they must have heard about this. So there I was in the square and apprehended by the culinary cops here. But it all went very smoothly, and I got off with a caution. But it was brilliant. These guys are very happy. A lot of their colleagues wanted to be photographed, and I didn't realize it was going to be triggering for some people. Obviously, it looks like an ICE detention. Thankfully, I'm smiling and not being sort of bent over, double over the hood of a police car or anything. It was a good-natured encounter. All kinds of cops there, very smart, beautiful, beautifully chic. I could see in the background there, kind of almost an officer looks like he's ready to draw his arm from his breast pocket there. Probably not where a sidearm is worn, hence the name sidearm. But they were dressed so beautifully. They had sort of bracelets on and jewelry, and they smelt good, and they were all beautifully turned out. And the balaclava guys, as well, with their jeans on. I guess they have to dress a little bit differently. They weren't wearing sharp suits, but they were very happy to do the photo. It was great with these guys. In the library, not far away, look, I found a section. I was reading books with my granddaughter, and there's the Portuguese in Italiano, reference to Portugal right there. So they're Portuguese books. Bologna is a very international city. There are books of every kind from all over the world for kids to read. English, of course, English spoken widely. So very easy to communicate. But I was doing the same thing as I did last time I went there. I was walking into shops and just saying bon dia, because my mind knew, my body knew that I was abroad and not in England. And my instant reaction is to speak Portuguese in those situations. So it's a little bit confusing for people, quite frankly. Although there were Portuguese people I noticed from time to time I was encountering in Italy as well. Why are my hands behind my back? I was embracing my new cop buddies in Italy. Morning to you, Gary. Morning to you, Lee, as well. Lovely to see you here. Matti, Rafael Di Furia, long time no reading you. How are you? It was a long time since I'd seen him, but you may have seen the Man Cave salute that he and I gave the Man Cave group on Facebook as well. Seterio metro station is the zoo. They're connected underground. They are, absolutely. He's here, everybody. Hey, Carl. Was funny that we happened to be in Italy at the same time. Look, Raphael, let me thank you publicly and wholeheartedly here. You showed me, you know how to show a guy a good time, Raphael. And I do have a photo of you and I, a selfie of you and I, plus lots of other wonderful footage. And you took some beautiful photographs of me, I have to say, new headshots for Munson, courtesy of Raphael. And you showed me a good time over there and some amazing food in Verona, which was a lovely little sojourn and diversion from Bologna for an afternoon. So thanks, mate. It was great spending the afternoon together. I'm looking forward to the next time. Yeah, I think a trip to the lakes is in order next time, isn't it, mate? But thank you very much for I was going to say hospitalizing me. No, that's not the right way of putting it, isn't it? For your beautiful hospitality. And it was lovely to see you and meet you in real life, in fact, for the first time. Who knew? It felt like we really did know each other. And it was great to seal the deal in real life. Anyway, back to the slideshow. Thanks, Raphael, and all the best to you. with your various projects, and I hope we will be working together. We have a lovely chemistry, I think. Right, back to the slideshow. I hope this isn't too dull for you. Um, seeing somebody's holiday snaps, but there are some comparisons here. Crazy. Italy and Portugal. That's what I'm doing today. Look at these naughty ladies here. There is a great Italian. Is it sense of humour or sense of sensuality, sexuality, of just feeling and joie de vivre, the dolce vita, all of that sort of thing. But that was a great. Do you want to see it again? I like that. Looking around the square and panning towards the fountain ladies with the water coming out of their boobs there. That might be just right. Probably not medieval city, but they look like they might have been installed a little bit later. But on a hot day, what better way to refresh yourself than a shower? Right there. Okay, moving on then. Now this, if I say to you, do you fancy a cheese and lard sandwich? You might say, you're all right. No, I'm okay, thank you. But that was, I think they're called tigelas. Is that right, Raphael? These little paninis. Again, the sort of panini you get out of Italy makes you think, well, that's okay. It's not that great. But then here you are in Italy. And I think this is a little bit of a bolognese speciality from Bologna. I'm using it as an adjective there rather than the meat sauce, which doesn't really exist in Bologna. It's more of an international thing, Bolognese sauce. It's not called that in Bologna and Italy, as far as I'm aware. And I'll get to that. But this, my daughter thrust into my hand and said, try this. And it was the lard and parmesan panini type of thing. It's got its own name of tigella, I think. And it was delicious. It really was delicious. They like their lard over there, and I guess it's the pork rind, rendered pork rind and fat. And it made for a very delicious little snack in the piazza there. So that's delicious. I commend that to you as well. In terms of tosh I love a tosh but this probably has the edge over that in terms of the ham and cheese combo or pork and cheese combo. There's something about a Portuguese tosta mista, but it is cheap ham and it's cheap cheese and it's very comforting. But really, generally speaking, Italy, I would say, has the edge in terms of cuisine. I love Portuguese food, don't get me wrong, but there's something about Italian cuisine which does have the edge. I'm going to say that. So there you go. And that's one nice little example. That it really is a tosta mista of a kind, but very delicious and a little bit more sophistication and better ingredients, I think, than a tosta mista you might find in Portugal. This, I think, arroz doce. I prefer Portuguese arroz doce, although this was exquisite. This is a rice cake. Now, it's called rice cake in this. I think, mate, I don't know about across Portugal, across Italy, so I'm getting confused with my countries. Italian rice cake, probably bolognese, lots of egg in there, lots of rice, very heavy, sold by weight. This wasn't a cheap purchase, but it was well worth it. Very sweet, of course, and a bolognese rice cake. And when I think rice cake, I think of those hideous dry pieces of polystyrene. A rice cake in the UK is one of those hideous things, and I only eat those when I'm really hungry. But this was exquisite. However, I'm still going to go with the Portuguese arroz doce, although, again, the ingredients are probably a little bit finer and Epicurean in the Italian version you see before you there. But arroz doce has it for me with the sprinkling of canela, which I often see in my local cafe on a Friday. I think it's a Friday speciality. People buy that for the weekend. And this little tray of rice cake lasted several days. I mean, it's so sugary. It's going to be fine in your fridge for a while. It was delicious. It was delicious. Not very ricey. The rice is a pulp. So it just seems like a sort of polenta or much more finely ground. It's not recognizable as rice in the dish, but it is a lovely texture, and that baked top is delicious. I think it was honey actually on the top of that. So still favouring the arroz dos, but this is excellent, and I would recommend you try it when you're in Bologna. There you go. Bolognese is the adjective. And I wanted to take this picture to show the architecture, the traffic light. There's a lot going on there, isn't there, culturally? That's what a Bologna street sign looks like. And obviously, in the same way that streets are named after famous people in Portugal, well, around the world, I suppose. But it's really a very European thing, isn't it, to name streets after the notables, and a real accolade to have a street named after you. Franco Bolognese. Is that a person, or is that a French? Is that like a twin town thing going on there? There probably is a chap called Franco Bolognese. If there isn't, there should be, and it might be something entirely different. But that's, Bolognese is the adjective, of course, of Bologna. But you're not going to be asking for a spaghetti bolognese, as Coach absolutely rightly points out. Morning. Thanks for joining us, Gemini and Mel, this morning. Good to see you. Yes, it's a ragu in Italy, a Renaissance fountain. Thank you very much for that. Great medieval museum I went to, and a great a Bolognese artist called Bartolomeo Sesi, I think, and it was featuring his work. He was a Bolognese artist who hung out with monks. He wasn't actually a religious devotee in the monk sense, but he would hang out with monks and contemplate and pray and meditate, and produce these incredible works of art that are featured around the city. He's not that well known there, but people from Bolognese didn't know him who I was speaking to. So it was really nice to have his work unearthed for the city. And more generally, it takes place. It's a temporary exhibition inside the Medieval Museum, which I thoroughly recommend as well. Portugal, morning, Rui, how are you? Better geopolitical, geographical, strategical position in today's world, regardless of politics, shorter distances between urban centres, much more varied cuisine, or used to be, says Rui, with his reading there. And yes, I'm okay, says Matty to you, Raphael, meddling along, trying to keep too many balls in the air. Ouch. And not drop the ball for any project. Yes, a lot of balls you're talking this morning, Matty. That's normal, isn't it? Thanks for joining us this morning, Raphael. It's great to see you, and it's especially great to see you in Italy. Let's continue with the slideshow. Franco Bolognese gives way to this lady. I think when it comes to cockroaches, certainly Bologna would appear to win when it comes to cockroaches. And this was a public information poster. The reason that ciabatta's mentioned there is, I think, ciabatta is a slipper as well. Con la blata, non terci ciabatta. And there's a number you can ring if you've got a burrata problem. They're called burratas here, aren't they? And you can scan the QR code. Danielle Bertoldi is telling you to sort out your pests and do a little bit of pest control with your cockroaches instead of whacking it with your slipper, which is probably old school Italian pest control. They'll come and sort them out for you in Bologna there. But I quite look that lady who looks a little bit like an Italian Goldie Hawn, shrieking at the sight of a cockroach on her worktop and giving it a smack with her slipper, she may have been whacking her kids with the same slipper, or anyway, it might have been handed down through the family for generations there. So you win, Italy, on cockroaches. Look at the color of these drinks. These were some post graduation drinks in a park cafe. A very similar vibe to the kiosk and park atmosphere that you have in Portugal. And you can't quite see the green drink at the back, but these are the Aperol spritzes and elderflower cordials. Really good show of those, and a beautiful display of colors of drinks in the Italian sunshine of that afternoon, and a nice glass of beer as well. Good pricing too, not unlike, I mean, this is Bologna, this is a tourist city, but we were away in one of the more local neighborhoods in the cafe in the park, and pricing, I would say, very comparable to life in Portugal. And I know that varies around the country, but generally speaking, pretty much on a par with life in Portugal, as you'll see from a little menu. I saw the prices of prato do dias, although they don't call them that, of course, in Italy. But the daily lunch, about €9, which is quite similar, isn't it, to many places in Portugal. Actually, can be more in Portugal. There's one of the great ice cream shops I went to. I think that's a coffee ice cream. And at this particular hostelry establishment, they give you a blast of squirty cream on top as well. delicious, and it's a bit of a palate cleanser after dinner. Seems to be the habit of eating ice cream. Go get your ice cream from somewhere else other than the restaurant you've been eating at and promenade the streets. Stefino, very good ice cream in Bologna, worth visiting. Especially those of you who've got a dairy intolerance or are vegans or whatever, they do a really good range of ice creams in most of the specialist gelati outlets there. Oh, live happily. That's a thing in terms of making comparisons between Portuguese and Italian life. When you get a coffee, you get a glass of water pretty much automatically. And I think you can choose between fizzy or still. Fizzy is the local thing, apparently, as a nice refresher to freshen your mouth and breath, probably after having a cup of coffee. Live happily, Illy being a coffee brand over there. But that was pretty cool, being given a glass of water to sort of refresh your mouth with afterwards. My selfish me would say go to Italy. It's better there. Just go. It's lovely, better than Portugal. Get through. We know why. Lots of similarities, similar in many things, not bad. Go for the one who offers you the best tax deal. Well, Italian oldies, retirees, come to Portugal for that reason. I think you'll find it. Rui. A lot of Italians feel the weight of Italian taxation. I did speak to some seniors over there who had Portugal had come onto their radar, and they were thinking about coming here for that very reason, to avoid paying so much tax. So there you go. Live happily with your glass of water, with your coffee, and this was great. There you go. We're living happily again. But this is the head-to-head with perhaps the cafe in nata, pastel de nata with a galan or a mare de latte in the morning. This is what it's up against in Italy, and this was delightful. There's your cappuccino, proper cappuccino. No question about it. The cappuccino is better in Italy. I mean, it is their signature milky coffee, and it's better. It's what they make it, but it's for breakfast. Now you will distinguish yourself as a tourist if you ask for cappuccino at any other time of day other than breakfast. But superb, I have to say. There's nobody who's going to separate me from my pastel de nata here in Portugal. However, in Italy, I'm going to be having this, which is the custard-filled croissant. Croissant! Absolutely delicious. A great Italian breakfast. That croissant filled to overflowing with delicious custardy cream. I'm making myself quite excited talking about it actually this morning. Absolutely delicious. Great breakfast to seek out. My daughter took me there, and then a day or two later, I'm thinking to myself, I just, got out of the house, went for a little walk on my own, and I thought, I hope I can find this needle in a haystack cafe. And there it was, just as I was thinking that, down a little lane. Great lunch on offer there as well. But this is how to start the day, I would say, in Italy, with a custard-filled croissant. The French pastry, of course, made better in Italy by the filling of custard and some icing sugar on top. Now, talking of icing sugar, we will come back to the icing sugar. Look, the Portugallo offer in an Italian travel agent is to go. Look, you know where that is, don't you? That would be the Azores right there, would it not? But there you can do a trip to. Hold on, let me just pause that and just take it to where we zoom into Portugallo. Yeah, it's the actually I say that's the Azores. Is it Madeira? It's Madeira, isn't it? I can't see the small print. Help me out here. Oh, no, it's the Azores. Look, the Italians call it Azore. Portugallo trip. That's going to cost you about 3.5 grand for a few days from Italy going to the Azores there. So among all those wonderful destinations, including safaris and, going to see the iconic sites of the United States or whatever, the Azores is there as well as a tourist destination in Italy. How do I get out of this? I need to go backwards one step. Okay, there we go. That's what I was talking about. The Prato del Dia selection is my entire. It's frozen up now. We'll come back to that in just a moment. But I'll show you how much the lunches are costing in Italy just a moment. I love Italy. So jealous, says Mel. Not difficult to get there. Maybe go sooner rather than later with the cost of air travel, I suspect, at the moment. No, I think me my album, my Bologna album, seems to have frozen up there. We should come back to that. Oh no, here we go. I've refreshed it now. Look, there's risotto, ragu, all sorts of lovely things to take a look at. But there you go. A parmigiana di melanzane, or the sing-song language is great to hear as well. People, I mean, can you imagine my little granddaughter? And she's singing it. Well, even when she's speaking, it sounds like she's singing in Italiano. It's a lovely language to listen to. Risotto a funghi, tortellini al ragù. They're all €9 for the prima piatti. And that is, I think that is, yeah, that's my restaurant that I went to for the croissant and Custardfield croissant and cappuccino in the morning. So there you go, €9 for your lunch. Churches, Catholicism, pretty much on a par. Some beautiful buildings in Bologna Central. A lot of these religious chaps seem to have the same haircut as me. So I was bang on trend in many of the religious institutions that I went to. We'll come back to your comments. Thank you very much, Rui, for your commentary. Much appreciated. And thanks for... we're easing our way back in slowly and steadily. The only way to do it, quite frankly, when you get to a certain age, right? And Mike, good to see you. Thank you very much for that greeting. Bondi Gumpers, welcome back, Carl. It's like I was never away, like riding a bike, being the host of the Good Morning Portugal show. Oh, do you know what? I meant to do the quiz at 8:15. I'm going to have to set an alarm. And I can see it's 8:37 already. My goodness, let's crack on. So, yeah, lots of great churches. But a similar situation, young people are not going to church. They may or may not just about be baptizing their children because it's the done thing, but they're not going to church. It's the same thing, like that said in Portugal. We're a Catholic country. We're getting married, having children. It's a family culture. Well, you need to kind of do that, and it seems to be the same trend in Italy. People not having children or having children later. They're not carrying on in the religious way as their certainly their grandparents did, and possibly their parents. So some great churches which are fast becoming tourist destinations, and perhaps less so the destination for local young people. Icing sugar. This is at home. I think I was live streaming, and my daughter presented this little pastry to me, which was almost like a deep fried croissant, a little snack. It was extraordinary. It was very hard. And as you bit into the crunchy pastry, a custard filling awaited you. And as you bit into the crust, a powder of an explosion of icing sugar powder went up your nose and in your face. It's quite extraordinary and delicious, of course, as well. So I don't know what that's called. This is the bread that comes with a great restaurant. I'd be delighted to recommend to you, called the was it the Bionata? Somebody who eats at night. This is a gourmet, somebody who eats into the night. This is what the restaurant's called. It is somewhat touristy as a trattoria, but it's one of those great tourist places that, a bit like your Pastéis de Belém, I suppose, where you would be happy to go as a local as much as you would be a tourist. And there's the bread, very salty. Some nice focaccia, I beg your pardon, and crisp bread before you get into the ragu. My ragu and tagliatelle, and over the way there, a lasagna. Don't worry, G, I'm not going to put you in the picture. That's a proper lasagna. Look at that.
Green lasagna.
It's what?
It's it's green.
Oh, really?
Lasagna
Green
there.
lasagna. Oh, the pasta's green.
Spinach in it.
Oh, okay. Very good, thank you. I'm going to look at my tagliatelle with a Giovanese, a red wine. Sangiovese, idiot. And in here, some of the most incredible bread and crackers as well. And I must go into this pot now to sprinkle, of course, Parmigiano Reggiano. Now, superb. How should you put your Parmigiano? and like snow on the mountains, my daughter said, but lots of it. And you dust it like it. And I flew over those mountains on the way back. Oh, panna cotta now.
That is a section of panna cotta with caramello. Unusual to have coffee at the same time, but we asked for that. Oh, glory it is. A great coffee, and then a cheesecake with panna cotta,
No. Chocolate cake with mascarpone.
mascarpone, I beg your pardon, yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Chocolate cake with mascarpone and the panna cotta you see there, like nothing I'd ever had. Another one of those things that has been messed up. Exporting it. Panna cotta's nice in Portugal. Don't get me wrong, I love panna cotta, but that's next level in what appears to be its spiritual home. So that was delicious. A caramel panna cotta and a chocolate cake as well. Really delicious chocolate, kind of tart with mascarpone on there as well. The wines are fantastic. These were from the market just down the street. Very, very delicious. Look, a Sangiovese there in a bio, a red, and a slightly fizzy white as well. Price-wise, I mean, they tasted different. They kind of a nutty, caramelly taste to them from a local producer, and I think they were 3.50 or so, €4 for a bottle. So similar pricing on the wine, and great from different wines. And Sangiovese there, Valpolicella, I think, in Verona. The wine's very competitively priced. You know, it's not an exclusive thing, and lovely for your wine safari and the experience of tasting new wines, and lovely to buy them on a street market, which was there, like a bio organic street market with a wine merchant there. Really superb. There's a polenta. Now, what does that remind you of? That looks a lot to me like a rissoles de bacalhau. It's that same shape, isn't it? But it's not deep fried over there in Verona. We're in Verona now having lunch with Raphael on a slice of polenta. Again, polenta's dull as hell, isn't it, in a lot of places around the world? Why am I eating semolina? But here it is, beautifully made, and it had a bacalhau pate almost. So that's codfish Italian style right there. And there's the main. Doesn't photograph well, it has to be said, but a squash and zucco. Was that right, Raphael? We had squash and wine made with Valpolicella, local wine. That's why it has that brown color. It was so hearty, so delicious, absolutely delicious. Not a thing that you can photograph especially well, but a risotto of the first order. Got to have risotto. In Italy, of course. That was absolutely delicious. And as I was checking out, made a new friend. I said, "Do you mind if I take a selfie with you?" She said, "Wait a minute," and she grabbed her ham. Look at her. She was such a character. Fantastic lady. So another new friend there. Friends with the cops and friends with this lovely nonna in Verona. She's busily making salads, but not too busy to stop and have a little selfie fun with me. Verona skyline, look at that lovely blue sky of Verona. There's me and Ralph looking out, got the funicular up to the top of town. And in the hillsides, look at that guy giving me the side eye. Do you mind? I should have cropped that. He's now famous on the Good Morning Portugal show. But there's Ralph and me up the hill there. We take I think it's a €2 ride, and in the distance you can see, I think they're poplar trees, so Portuguese, or cypress trees, poplar trees in the distance. It looks like an Italian painting. It's just so delightful. Rubino, I think. That was delicious. White chocolate on the top, cheesecakey-ish, chunks of chocolate inside, strawberry flavor. Laid waste to that. Look at that. Inside the Ruboni or the Rubino. Rubino, I'm going to go with. This was in a lovely cafe that you must go to, or patisserie, called Flego. It's Colomba time. This is, I think, an Easter thing, is it not? Colombina, Colomba for Pascua. Pascua here, Pascua in Portugal. Pascua também in Italy. And look, there's the Colosseum. Looking worse for the wear, I think. Needs a lick of paint. And it's a bit of a doer-upper, quite frankly. Magnificent, I have to say. You can hear music coming out of there, says Raphael, when you pass some evenings. And a little starter kit version compared to the one in Rome, but nonetheless, a fabulous thing to see. You can almost hear Christians being fed to lions in there. There you go. There's Shakespeare.
Very evocative. I felt like Maximus standing outside that Colosseum. Look, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet set in Verona, of course. There is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself, hence banished, is banished from the world, and world's exile is death, I tell you. Sounded like Kenneth Branagh for a moment, didn't I? The great Branagh. So Shakespeare immortalized over there. How on earth did he find out about Verona, I wonder? The trains are fantastic, very well priced. I would say there's a better train network. Probably has to be in Italy, right? But so easy to book online. Train line I used, booked online. I had a choice to get there in 90 minutes for 10 euros. I could take the express, which shaved 30 minutes off that journey, but it was an extra 20 euros. So loved the rail travel, double-decker trains like you have going over the 25 d'Abril Bridge, but great. And I didn't have any delays. They say sometimes you have delays in Italy with the trains. It gets a bit chaotic, but not for me. Ease, joy, and glory. Now, what is that hole on the kitchen table there? I'll tell you, because we run out of time. I didn't expect to be here this long with my slideshow. Morning, Alan. Good to see you. Bon dia. From Massachusetts, always. Thank you for making contact when you get up in the night. Yeah, thanks, Pete. I think we do. I think people were looking at us thinking, oh, what a lovely couple. They are, me and Raphael over there. That hole at the bottom of the table there, not for wine. It's for a rolling pin that goes into the table. Bit of woodworm on this one. But there's a pull-out table that you can, I don't know, this is a pastry and pasta maker's table. That rolling pin, you could dry clothes on it. It comes out pretty much, definitely the width of the table and probably a little bit more. And I can imagine a nonna, making pasta, rolling out the pasta, whacking the kids with it, just a tool for every use. When you've got a rolling pin, everything looks like a naughty child or a bad husband or a pasta sheet that needs to be rolled out. So that was a really nice thing to discover. But there you go. Some more prices for you. Mortadella Bologna, €8. That'll be a platter. And these are the tigeles, the little sort of panini type things as well. Look at that. Frigione, overcooked onions. That was delicious. A vegetable caponata. I think that's like the pica-pau pickled vegetables that we have here in Portugal. Raw ham of Parma. All sorts of lovely things there. Basket of empty homemade hot tigelle and fried crescentine. Crescentine were really nice, almost Asian. You slam a load of mortadella in there, put a little bit of the cream cheese sort of stuff, cottage cheese on it. Yum! Really good. And some of the overcooked onions. Look, that's the pica-pau pickled vegetables. Caponata possibly. Really good. A lot like the pickled cauliflower you see here in Portugal. Delicious. Spumant and Frisant, they sparkling red. Just like going up to the Bairrada region. Very good. Get the party started. Fizzy wines, white and red there. Lambrusco. Again, has a kind of strange reputation outside of Italy. Totally acceptable drink, Lambrusco, for lunch and, in a convivial setting. And some spumant as well there, the Pignoletto. Very, very good. Emilia Romagna DOC, right? The IGTs and DOCs. A little street. It's like, what was that Christopher Nolan film where all the buildings sort of roll up and close in? I want to say Incendiary. It's not called Incendiary. But this is a street where Maserati began. I was delighted to send that picture to Colin. Tractors on that occasion. And they started in this little narrow street in Bologna. There's another ice cream from the Cremeria Cavaur as well. Delicious. I think that was a mascarpone ice cream. And I made a new friend. Not a Zepovino, but I forget his name, but he's a local Bolognese musician. You see him everywhere in murals, and there we are, looking out for the seagulls that stole our ice creams. This is the Bolo de Belen. I've nearly finished. Well done. You've been very, very good, sitting attentively as well. Did you manage to extract Peter? He's back on form. He's not changed one bit since I've been away. Good morning, Pete. How are you? Bolo de Belen to you, Peter. Look at that. Not crunchy sugar, but kind of fancier, finer icing sugar on the top of a donut texture and inside custard. And so that's a nice alternative for breakfast with your cappuccino. There were some people in a cafe shouting out cappuccio, and I thought they were taking a mickey out of me. Cappuccio does mean fathead, I think. But or monkey, I thought they were calling me because they knew I couldn't understand them. But we overcame that, and I think cappuccino is actually a little short version of cappuccino. But Italian friends, you can tell me if they were indeed insulting me in a way that I couldn't understand, as I smiled there as they gave me my various confections, and that was delicious. Still prefer a bolla di bene, but that is really, really good. The Italian custard. Oh my goodness. There I am. There's time to tell you about my moral maze with Ryanair. Isn't that a nice picture of Ryanair there? Coming back over what would be the Pyrenees? That's how you should do your Parmigiano. Dust it on your food like snow-capped mountains. Over Marseille, possibly. Which football ground is that from the airplane? Got some great footage, which I might... if you want to see the ascent back into Portugal, I can play that for you at the end. But look at this. Is this the dragon-shaped river valley system that I captured there? Iberian style, or it might be something completely different. But the footage out of the window was awesome. Finally, then, well done, everyone. Quite the mixed bag there, isn't it? Back to the Copenhagen Coffee Lab, waiting for the coach to go home. And that is an espresso tonic. Not that I'll be having that again. And in the bag is some rye bread and ciabatta, funnily enough. Ciabatta made by the Copenhagen Coffee Lab. And immediately I thought to myself, these breads have been baked in a Dutch oven. I wonder what they will smell like. No, that would be Amsterdam Coffee Lab, wouldn't it? Not the Copenhagen. So a Danish oven. I don't know if that makes a difference. Reason to leave Portugal: numbers, born bullish on the planet, and numbers and more access to the game. All about the numbers, which leads me very nicely to the conclusion of the show, which will be a question. I think, Rui, some of you I know will enjoy this, the Portugal Club question today. Taxachusetts. Fantastic. There is a geocache in the Colosseum in Verona. As an immigrant here, make sure you have your wills and powers of attorney sorted properly. Thank you. I don't know what's been going on in the chat there. It's my understanding that a lot of the ruins and abandoned buildings are due to the succession inheritance laws. Yes, of course they are. And they were many too in Italy. Absolutely right. If nobody abandoned anything, then why are there so many ruins? You must be joking. In your mind, none of the young Portuguese are working outside of Portugal too. What? What's going on there? I've come up with a new thing. A cool Parmesan pot. You've heard of saudade. Of course you have. Now, there is another kind of sadness I think that us foreigners can feel. I've sunk in my chair. What about godad? And this is the sadness of seeing the Portuguese leaving Portugal. Godad. It didn't have much salt in it, quite frankly. That drink sounds horrific, especially when there is Vietnamese ice. Oh, it's salty iced coffee. Okay. Another reason getting rid of Portuguese politicians, good way to leave. You will end up putting up with others, but well, new things to discover. Yeah. Where was I? Can't remember. Let's let's go to Ryanair and my Ryanair moral maze. Do I get in touch with them? Do I leave a message on X for them and say, is it Michael O'Leary? I ran my PayPal debit card. This was not such a good thing. It was an absolute pain. There was money on it, and it kept getting refused. It went through the metro once. It didn't go through the metro again. I've bounced the metro yesterday. I mean, it's a good way to get around the world without spending any money. Just put it on your PayPal card, and it doesn't seem to work. And you're miles away by the time anyone's found out. However, on this occasion, I can see that it's only right to pay. And I want to pay Ryanair this $9.25 for a can of Stella. I've known Stella for a long time. And some dry roasted peanuts. Only $9.25 on an aeroplane. Not too bad, is it really? Something to pass the time. Very nice. Get some dry roasted peanuts. Makes you even thirstier for another beer. But I didn't begrudge it at all. However, it didn't work on the card machine. Now, that means that a Ryanair stewardess, cabin crew might have to take that out of their own wages. Do I report this to Ryanair or not? Will they charge me again? And then I'll end up paying twice. How do I manage this, Michael O'Leary? Let me know. Very happy to send you that money. But I don't want to get anyone in trouble on the flight crew. But they're probably already in trouble because they're $9.25 light. Honestly, use a Wise card, way better. My card's not working either on Wise. A few problems. The Revolut worked. Wires has got a problem on it. I think it's my particular card. And PayPal was rubbish. I hope you can get to Ravenna, not too far from Bologna. It has the most amazing intact surviving late Roman and early Byzantine architecture, including cathedrals and tombs, UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We've got those as well here, of course, in Portugal. And finally, then, let's go to the Portugal Club quiz today. You'll find this over at the Portugal Club. If I bring this onto the screen, we're going to be getting into this. We're going back to making the Portugal Club a daily quiz, and you might be with me tonight at the quiz in real life in San Martino de Porto. This is an interesting question. I noticed there is some geopolitical chat going on in the comments this morning. The question this morning, and now here on the Good Morning Portugal show, the Portugal Club quiz. Question today then, what will be the next global reserve currency? While the US dollar remains the dominant global reserve currency, is that not what this is all about at the moment in many ways? Its share is slowly declining with a potential shift toward a multipolar system rather than a single successor. Yeah, whatever. The Chinese yuan, the renminbi, which I've never heard it referred to as that, but that just makes it easier for foreigners, I guess. The renminbi is considered a top contender to increase its share, with predictions suggesting it could become a significant reserve asset within 5 years as China opens its bond markets. Wow. Current reserve status then, 2025. And this is interesting. There's a Portugal connection here because the Portuguese real was the first global reserve currency, would you believe, from the 1450s to the 1530s. That's a good run. From the 1530s to the 1640s, that's a good run too. The Spanish silver dollar from the 1640s to the specifically 1815, it was the Dutch guilder. From 1815 to 1944, it was the British pound sterling. And from 1944, of course, after the Bretton Woods Agreement, to the present day, and hanging on in there with white knuckles and by fingertips, I would say, and I think that's what all of this nonsense at the moment is about, is the US dollar. So the question then is, what will be the next global reserve currency? I don't think it's going to go back to pound sterling. Japanese yen is currently around 6% of global reserve. Pound sterling, less than 5%. The euro, interestingly, is the second biggest traded currency, but that's because of all the countries getting together, is it not? And I imagine they thought that it would be a reserve currency at one point, but I think the EU have seen to that that's not going to happen now, and the ECB. Who knows, though? Who are the contenders, and who do you think will be the next global reserve currency champ? Will it be the Chinese yuan? Will it be the multipolar system that was spoken about? I don't think so. I think that's just the negotiating tactic of those who are currently in the current dying reserve currency or dwindling. Will it be the BRICS currency? It could be, couldn't it? Will it be a BRICS currency or gold or BRICS gold? Portugal's got a lot of gold. Or will it be digital money, stable coins, or a mixture of the above? Will it be a BRICS stable coin? I wonder. Some experts suggest a future replumbing of the system through decentralized digital currencies or central bank digital currencies. They're a nice way to control people, are they not? Despite the promises of crypto, there's me with my Spartan FX gilet there. I had my euros and was ready to travel back from Bologna there. Yes, the euro, unlikely. Crypto, all those wonderful crypto promises, how it could be confidential, untrackable on the blockchain. But the government thought that's a good idea. We should start a blockchain as well, and then we can control everything. Seems to be the direction of travel. Looks like it's moving away from the dollar. Who do you think? I will put the link to that into the chat right now, and then we'll finish with our ascent back into Portugal, I think, into Lisbon Airport from yesterday as our finisher before I prepare myself for some qigong, some quantum qigong, no less. Okay, pasting that into the chat for you if you want to make your guess over there at the Portugal Club. Portugal Club quiz is back from tomorrow. Wow, no post to moderate today, first time. Might be we've been having a break. It might be something to do with it. Jackie, good morning to you. Bon dia, gang. How's your trip been, Jackie? Please rectify. It was the Portuguese escudo in the royalty days. Was it really? Wasn't it the real during the discoveries, though? I thought the escudo came in after the Portuguese Republic started in 1910. Sorry to show off with my dates, but it was a recent quiz question. Talking about funny paper fiat numbers, yes, indeed. Nothing like Ravenna or anywhere else, although Ioannina on its lake with its cathedrals. I want to go to the lakes. Sites and lake trout in northwest Greece is wonderful too. Can see where Ali Pasha shot there. I don't know who that reference is to, but you can look it up for yourself. Real is Spanish, no. I think it was the currency before the escudo and the currency of the discoveries. We need to look into that, and we will. It would make sense to move away from the dollar after a lot of people are thinking that after the US has driven oil prices up with all the consequences and being in debt for ages. I think it's a swan song move. So when you've got dollars and you're, is that related to, I mean, it does make things work in certain parts of Trump's strategy, but it does look like swan stuff for me. I say Trump's strategy if that's not a contradiction in terms, or if it's not entirely obvious. Reis then escudo. So not Reals. I've got to look that up. Have I not? Great. I love a bit of controversy, especially when the Portuguese people are here who come to argue about the answers, as I suspect might happen tonight as well. Some Portugal royals and aristocrats of the past, cowards, fled to Brazil during the Napoleonic invasions and left poor little us to defend Portugal alone with help from the self-interested Brits. How dare you, sir? We helped you with out of the goodness of our heart, with no hidden agenda whatsoever. I can assure you, there's no way the British would be so self-interested, so self-invested, and so selfish. Is there? You can still use an escudo in Cabo Verde. Searching the web, 19 results. Yes, the real was the official currency unit of Portugal and its empire for nearly 500 years. I feel vindicated. And on that note, a little bit after 9, I've got to get off to me Qigong class. I think it's only right to play the video of the ascent into Portugal, to Lisbon Airport yesterday. So let me just add that file. It's a big eye-watering one. That's if I've got it anywhere. Maybe I haven't. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to load that up onto the YouTube channel so you can watch it at your leisure there. I will go out in the usual way, the way we came in, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, 1st of April, tomorrow. More Portugal Club quiz action for you then. Thank you so much for being here this morning, and it's lovely to be back and lovely to see you. So see you again tomorrow, I hope. A couple more comments there. You'll have to go to YouTube for that. And Sir Arthur Wellesley kept Portugal from the evil garlic eaters. Do you know what? His address was number 1 London, right there at Hyde Park Corner, I believe. Number 1 London. That used to be Arthur Wellesley's, the Duke of Wellington. Is that right? That's his other name as well. Stop talking, Carl. Just play the credits. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. Adios, and I'll see you tomorrow.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need